everyone. Welcome to our Insecure Season 5, Episode 8 recap and review. So while we wait for Samaria to join, we want you all to jump down in the comments and tell us your favorite part of the art walk. So what was your favorite part of the art walk? Hi, Blessings. Hi, everyone. Thank y'all for joining in. We're going to get started in a few seconds while we wait for a moment of the art walk from the episode. All right, so Samaria should be joining. Hey, girl.
Hey.
All right.
I'm just going to say this for our YouTube people before we start. If you're watching this, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
Guys watching, but need the subscriber count to go up too.
Yes. A bunch of y'all are watching and commenting. We just need y'all to commit.
Okay, this was a really good episode.
It was, and it was very different. Like, the majority of the episode was like a dream sequence. So I feel like they've had pieces of that in prior episodes, but not as much. So I've already asked them to put their favorite moment of the art walk. But I want to know, what's your favorite moment of the art walk?
Oh, I had a few.
Okay.
Quite a few. So the first one was Koya, when she was like stay black to the black people coming in. But then when the white couple walks in, she's like, it's totally rad that you're here.
Look, that code switch is real.
It is. Did you have a favorite part of it?
Okay, so that would have been one of my moments, but then the other one was Issa's brother when he was shading Kelly, and he was like, "Oh, is that supposed to be an exaggerated version of you?"
Yeah.
If so, they did a great job. So yeah, I love.
I'm seeing him this season.
I think he was there maybe on the phone for one of the episodes. I don't know that he was in an episode, but I feel like I've seen him in this season. But either way, I love when he's on the screen.
I felt like I hadn't seen him. Another part was when Issa said, "I'm gonna say what everybody else is thinking. We a power couple," and I'm like, "Girl, y'all are barely a couple." So,
Right.
I don't know if I would say that. And then we have to talk about the lady who was in whatever the first episode was, and she said, "I'm so glad that I stopped here on my way to the bridge." I'm like, I don't know if Issa handled that properly.
Right.
But it was so awkward.
It really was. I feel like moments like that just remind me so much of like Awkward Black Girl. Yeah.
Okay, so to kick things off, what did you think about Nathan bringing up moving in together?
So I was shocked, mainly because, Insecure, I feel like they don't do a good job in terms of like timelines, because I feel like that matters. So I feel like the show is saying that, okay, it has maybe been a couple of weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. 3 weeks? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 weeks since they've been official. We'll run with that timeline. So I don't know. I was shocked mainly because it seems very quick. Like, y'all have just gotten comfortable in this stage of whatever y'all are, boyfriend and girlfriend, dating, right, being official. And then also because we kind of know, which he doesn't know this, but that like there is some internal conflict with Issa. So that's why I was just like, whoa, where is this coming from? I feel like this is moving very fast, at least for moving in.
Even without the internal conflict with Issa, it's moving too fast. And it's like, how are you going to call her all over the place when you're suggesting moving in, I guess, so soon into the actual relationship? Yes, you guys have known each other. You've been friends for a while, but it just seems way too quick. And then he's like, oh, I'm leaving like all my clothes here, so I might as well. And it's like, no, just take your clothes home or
leave them there and just keep doing what you've been doing. But then also when he was like, well, I don't know, like he asked her, and then she was basically like, well, are you sure? And he was like, well, I don't know. Well, you don't ask someone if you want to move in together, like, unless you are like, hey, this is what I really want to do. Maybe, I guess he's trying to feel her out, which I
Yeah.
understand. But the way he responded was like, well, I don't know. Should we be doing this? Well, then why you brought it up?
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna excuse him for that because I think he was just tossing around the idea so that they could
Mm,
discuss it and see if they were
okay.
on board. However, I don't think he should have brought it up at all. Like I don't.
Right. Like we're moving in with people after officially dating for 3 weeks. And I understand people have, different timelines for things that they're comfortable with, but I think 3 weeks is fast. Like,
It's
what's the rush?
that's
And
the
then maybe this is me being nitpicky, but I don't think just because you're leaving your clothes over there or it's more convenient, or for financial reasons, like if you want to live with someone, that's going down a certain path, like you're starting to merge your life together. I think it should be maybe for more than just like, oh, I want to save on half the rent. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's true. So what did you think about her vision? So the first one that she had, my first thought was, I know they're not about to jump us 2 years again. Like after they jumped us that 1 year, and I just felt like that was enough. Like I know they're not about to pull it again because that's too much. And if they did, of course, I felt um a little bit funny about her still being with Nathan, but
True. I was kind of confused. I had to rewatch that part. Like I had to go back and be like, wait, is this a dream sequence? Did I miss something? Just because it seemed very far in the future. So I'm like, okay, she must be dreaming. I know they're not going to jump us 2 years ahead when we've been moving in increments of a few weeks. So as far as how I felt about it, I don't know. She's such an LA girl that I was like, oh, that's interesting that she's like globetrotting with her business, which I think is great. The light that they're showing her being successful, but it does seem very far from her roots,
Mhm.
especially how like pro LA she is. So that didn't seem as plausible in terms of a dream.
I like the elevation.
Hmm.
Um, of course, like I noticed that her hair was different with the NBW, so she was wearing straight hair, and I guess that's what she thinks it would look like representing this huge brand and trotting all over the globe. Well, not all over the globe, the country.
Yeah.
We mentioned Miami and Detroit, but yeah, like going all over the country to represent this brand. So I definitely peeped that and thought it was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and especially how they've shown her having so many beautiful natural hairstyles the entire. I don't think we've ever seen her in just like bone straight hair, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I also wanted to say like she looks beautiful with any hairstyle.
All the outfits too,
Oh my,
like
yes, those outfits were definitely well put together. So yes, I like that, but yeah, I don't know. I guess as she elevated, Nathan also did because he said he cut the class of the brothers and they were in this nice apartment. But again, it's just not who we know her to be. So it's like, yeah, I want you to get that money, but she's worried about the authenticity part of it.
mhm. And I'm glad that they did show Nathan elevating with her because I feel like that would have just brought a different element into the storyline of like, hey, I've elevated in this way, and
Yeah.
it would kind of be like her and Lawrence again, where like she's kind of moving forward with life and he's stuck. So,
Yeah, but I did love the image of him being supportive no matter what. So like in both visions, she comes home and he's right there. He's like, "Oh, let
mhm,
me do something or let me take care of you." So I really loved that they were putting that out there for people to see. So yeah,
mhm.
I appreciated that. Okay, so if we're going to talk about the MBW vision, naturally we have to talk about Crenshawn. So he shows up after he was talking all that smack the other week when she took over her peace offering brownies. What did you think? Were you satisfied with his apology?
Look, well, first, I love how Koya always is ready to have her back. Like she is
Right.
not playing no games with him, and I could appreciate that. But either way, so I guess like the scene when they're off on the street,
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess he apologized, but not really, because Queen was like, "Oh, with that sexy apology," and I'm like,
What
I was kind
apology?
of, yeah, it was like either one apology or a half apology because he was like, "Oh well, my bad." No, after all the ruckus you done caused, I'm gonna need you to at least say, "I apologize" or "I'm sorry for X," especially if you want to work with her going forward. So it was kind of hard for me to be open minded with that because of his lack of apology. Of like, it was like more carefree, like, "Oh man, my bad." It's like, well, if she's going to take a completely different path, I mean,
Hmm.
it could really make or break maybe her brand, especially once people see that y'all are working together again. Like, you're gonna have to come with more than that, I think.
I think it could only make her brand. Like I don't see it. I don't see it breaking her brand as far as like her being this LA girl who's here for the culture. But I respected his apology, and I was like,
Really?
yeah. So I think he acknowledged, I cannot do this without you, and I think it takes a lot of humility to do that. Which I think it requires a lot of humility to apologize sincerely anyway. But he said, I tried to do this wearable art gallery and it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of work. I didn't know you needed like permits. And so I think he approached it as I was coming at you crazy, not even knowing all the effort that you had to put into this. And then he said, my bad. So that's why I was okay with it because it wasn't just okay, sorry. It was a genuine,
Well, yeah.
wow, you did what you needed to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I respect it even more now because I didn't know it took all this, and I see you're still down for the culture, which I think is more important, not more important than I'm sorry, but because he had questioned how for the culture she was before, I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
he took that back.
I guess I was expecting more words like, "Hey, if I am going to be working with you, I'm not going to pull what I did before."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess just not even an explanation, but reassurance that things would be different going forward. And I guess I just expected him to say more, but
Okay, so she gets this text from him and meets up with him, and he says, "Hey, I think we should work together," and she declines. And then I liked that he pushed back. I like that he said, respectfully, this is what I think. I really love that. Like, I need to learn how to do that. Like, when someone says no, I
hmm
don't know. Actually, I take that back because,
I think it depends on the situation.
yeah.
Yeah, because it could go either way.
But in this case, I wasn't mad at it. Because he's like, let me show you the vision. I sent you a proposal. I'm not playing around. I'm about my business. I promise you. And I think it was convincing enough
hmm
that she actually, had this whole vision of what life would look like working with him. So yeah,
Right.
what do you think of that side of the vision, the Issa would?
Yeah, I feel like that seemed more authentic to her. Like that's what her block brand has been about. So yeah, it just felt more natural to what she's been trying to accomplish
Mhm.
this entire time because LA is a big city, so she could have focused on a different area, but her heart is in Inglewood. So I don't know. I appreciated that piece of it. I would also say that it was interesting how they kept them in the same apartment.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess if she take, I guess they're assuming if she takes that route that she's maybe not going to be as financially successful. So that was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, so before I get to that, I did like the vision. Of course, she had the natural hair.
hmm
And I love that she was in her block or the block that she likes to be in and doing the things that she wanted to do, making big moves. So I definitely loved that vision for her. Um, One thing I had was I didn't know you could air fry brownies, so that was funny to me. I had no idea. I'm like, how do you air fry brownies? So I'm gonna look
I
into.
I think you can cook almost anything in the air fryer. You just have to get the timing right. Now,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard of brownies. That's
Yeah, I don't even use my air fryer. I know I'm ashamed to millennials everywhere, but to the point of they kept them in the same apartment. I think NBW is just a more financed like avenue, you know, like they already
Mm-hmm.
have proven money to invest, and Crenshaw doesn't have that. They would be working from kind of like not the bottom, but
Yeah,
kind of,
grassroots. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's why that was.
Uh,
Um, with the whole key ceremony, so I know I said I think she looks great with every hairstyle. I didn't love that hairstyle on her. I think she still pulled it off, but compared to all the other hairstyles,
Really, I liked it. It was cute.
I
I
think
mean, it's not the best look she's had, but I liked it. I thought it was
I
cute.
think it, yeah, I think it was the color for me, but I loved Tyra Banks as the
Girl, when I saw her on screen, I busted out laughing. I'm like, look, they don't went and found Tyra.
right. They had some big people this episode. Of course, Ty Dolla Sign.
Mhm.
Yeah, Tyra Banks. I'm trying. There was somebody else, but yeah, they had some big names this episode. Yeah, I did. You have a choice in which vision you would prefer for her life?
Mm. I'd say probably the Crenshawn route because I feel like even if things don't go exactly as planned,
Mm-hmm.
like you still have a lot of runway. It doesn't mean that you can't in the future go partner with a bigger brand that's, not as focused on LA. So I think it's a better place to start in my opinion versus doing the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You go work with these really big companies, they have tons of resources. It's kind of like if you work for a huge corporation and then you go work for a really small business. I think when you start small and then you maybe go bigger, of course it has its challenges, but I just think it would be a somewhat easier transition for her
Yeah.
if she was to explore that in the future. And it just feels more authentic to what she's trying to do, versus the other vision. Like, yes, she'd be successful, but is this really aligning with her goals and her vision that she initially outlined?
Yeah, I was wondering why she thought it had to be one or the other. Like it could, it could be both or somewhere in between. That's why I love the advice that Molly gave her at the end
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't have to be one or the other, especially at this point because she's not touring and doing all that stuff. Like so she can still be involved with both W and Crenshaw at this stage.
Well, I guess the way I interpreted the offer letter was
Mm.
like basically them being like, hey, we're going to give you a full-fledged contract and we want to take up the majority of your time. Like, that's the way I interpreted them,
Hmm.
like giving her the offer. So, like, yes, she could do both, but like the Crenshaw thing would still require a lot of work. So maybe she could do it part time. I'm not sure, but I just kind of made the assumption of, oh, if they're giving this offer letter, like it's official. Maybe we're hiring you on as like a consultant, but it's like a full time role.
Okay.
And she just wouldn't have the bandwidth to properly give to both. That's what I assume.
Ah, okay. Then in that case, I can definitely see it. But I did still like Molly's advice that
Hmm.
be somewhere in the middle, if you don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Um, speaking of Molly, so she had a lot happen in this episode, and I thought it was a little tough to watch, like even from the beginning when Kelly sits down with her family and her brother's like, "I'll go get some tea." Oh, we don't have tea. Well, I'm gonna go to the corner store. So you could see like he wanted no parts of it at all, and it was such a difficult thing for him
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, it definitely was hard to watch, but it's relatable. These conversations is something that we'll all have to have ourselves as well as our parents. And when you don't have those conversations, it just can make things much more stressful when things do happen.
I felt for her dad, who was like, I just feel like I've worked so long and I don't even have that much to give. So I thought that was relatable, probably to an older
Mhm.
audience. And I definitely felt for Molly going to cry in the car after because it's like, dang, this is where we are now. Like, I have to start putting things into place for that moment. And it's definitely a scary.
Yeah, and it's like also you. you know, they're your parents, so you sometimes may make the assumption, okay, well, y'all have it together, y'all
Mhm.
know how to make decisions. You know, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, so it's like a could be a gut punch when you're like, oh wait,
Yeah.
this is what how things are. Just because you're the child, so you're just assuming that like, hey, they're gonna have this all figured out.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to mention this when we're talking about Issa, so I'm gonna pause on Molly for a second. But the biggest part was Lawrence coming up, not only in her vision, but then it happened again when Nathan got her like food to eat that night. So, what did you make of that? Do you think it's a big deal, or think it's just something that happens?
I think it's coming up for a reason.
Hmm.
I felt for her when she was just like, get away from me. Like, stop, stop, stop. Just because you know, if you've ever like broken off things with a person where things just weren't terrible, but they weren't the best, like you still want what's best for that person. Like, you don't want to be seeing them or around them. Like, you just want to move on in peace. So it's kind of like, not that he's haunting her because he's not doing anything, but her own mind is like haunting her and he keeps popping back up. Um, and then the whole part of like him saying like, "Oh, you took the route that would make you happy." I think she took the easy what she deemed as the easier route, like which could also make her happy, like not dealing with you, your child, and your child's mother.
Yeah, I don't like the term easy. I don't.
Well, easier in terms of like drama and like I guess contact. Like
Hmm.
she could be struggling internally and mentally, but she's like on an island because she's not interacting with them versus whatever it may be, should she have chosen to stay in the mix. So that's why I say somewhat easier, but obviously it's still challenging because yeah, he keeps coming back up.
Yeah, and the other thing I was gonna say is even if it is the easier route, like why I feel like she deserves something easy. Maybe not her, but maybe I'm just inserting other women other women into this. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with taking that easy route. Like nobody be out here like Whitley and Dwayne, and just,
Mm-mm.
like having to fight for it all the time. Like that struggle is not appealing at all. So yeah.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. It could be, oh, she's not over it, which I think it is in this case, but
Mhm.
it could also be, okay, it's just taken me more time to get over something I thought I was over. And now that he's here and now he called me back and I haven't called him back, I think all of those things are bringing it to a head. Like if she would have never reached out, I don't think we would be having this conversation.
I will say I was somewhat annoyed with her because I'm like, girl, you have Nathan
Mm-hmm.
in the mix here, and you were going down this rabbit hole of like feeling some type of way about him not reciprocating, but like now you're kind of still secretly having this internal conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say conflict isn't just because he's coming back up, but also that scene where Nathan goes to the restroom and she's like shook once he says the word happy. It's like, girl, you have Nathan in play now. Y'all are supposedly moving forward. I was just kind of annoyed with her. Like, really?
She
I
probably
understand.
herself.
I understand that like you're still struggling with the whole Lawrence thing, but if you're still struggling with that,
Mm-hmm.
then just leave Nathan out. Like, let that be.
It's the fear of missing out. It's that, okay, if I let him go because I think this is something that I want to pursue and then that doesn't work, I would have missed out on him. So that is what I think it is. And so it's better to play it safe and keep him around, which is unfair to him, but it's
Mm-hmm.
easier to keep him around as a just in case guy. And I think he's going to get sick of that based on the previews next week.
Yes, that's why I was annoyed with her. Like, girl, okay, he's trying, you're trying, but not you keep having these setbacks.
Yeah. That's
Come on.
Okay,
Uh,
so I do want us to get back to Molly
uh,
because of Torian. Because last week you were saying you didn't see it for Torian. You didn't think he liked her like that.
I said I didn't say I didn't see it for him. I said I wasn't sure if
Okay.
he had up until this point shown like real romantic interest. However,
Hey, Tar.
Torian came through.
He did. It was so sweet. Like, wings are the key. That's the way to a woman's heart, Torian. Wings. And what did he send? Wings and wine?
And wine. He got both check marks. Boom, boom.
Right. I thought that was so thoughtful. I loved how, so it seemed like she was a little hesitant to break things off or like say, I'm not going to go on the date with you. Probably
You know,
flashbacks to Andrew.
you know why? Because she's still shook. Like, oh, if I don't go on a date or I don't go here or there, even though she was kind of doing it to the extreme, like not being around the family, like it was a lot. It was a lot of different things, but I
Yeah.
don't think this instance with Torian
Mm-hmm.
was, was that. So
Yeah. So I did appreciate how understanding he was. You know, he didn't trip. And then like that was nice in itself. But then with the wings and the wine, it was just like, okay, Torian.
the icing on the cake, and I don't know. I guess I am getting kind of excited. Like, okay, Torian, where's this gonna go? And even I feel like if it doesn't go anywhere, just having that support, it
Mm,
just shows that he's a nice person. Like the way they portrayed the character, the entire previous seasons was
mm-hmm.
that he was cold hearted, he was this or he was that, but we didn't really know much about him
Yeah. He was
outside of
but a
hmm?
man.
You
He
say
was
what?
not but a man.
Right. So yeah, I'm glad that they're showing him in this light, and yeah, I'm excited.
I am too. It looks like he's coming to the party next year. Really quickly, I wanted to touch on next episode. I wanted to touch on Kelly because I think, even though she's not a main character, I do like that we're seeing her progression. So I'm
Mhm.
seeing her. What did you think about her this episode?
Yeah, I loved when she came to the parents' house and how she really lightened the energy. And, you always have that friend that can just like hit it off really well with your parents or your mom. And so, yeah, I love that they kind of showed that dynamic so it wasn't so as stressful as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm glad that they're showing like her connection with someone else in the group other than Tiffany. Because, like Issa mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like Tiffany's moving. So, obviously, if we maybe had future seasons, we'd see like what that dynamic is like once she moves. I don't know if they're going to show that. But I'm glad to see that like Kelly's interacting more with Molly, kind
Yeah.
of getting involved in that piece so that. It's like they're all friends, but you can have like closer friendships within a friend group.
Yeah. I loved it for her. I think she's finding her way. She said last episode that she didn't want to just be around here like making rich white men richer. And you could just see like the care she took, how she connected with Molly's mom, although she was a little bit inappropriate at some moment. Like, why are you cursing in front of my mom?
Okay.
How grown we are, that's a no. So yeah, I did just love seeing her in her element and like in her professional element because there's only been one other time we've seen that, and that was when Issa thought she had saved enough to move out on her own, and Kelly was like, "No, ma'am." So
No.
I love that we're seeing that. Did you have any predictions for next week?
I didn't because I didn't get to see the preview, but you can share yours.
Oh man, okay. So next week they are having a going away party for Tiffany and Derek. So
Okay.
Lawrence are there, the baby. Issa brings Laura. What's the man's name? Nathan. Ethan. Ethan. Issa brings Nathan. God. To the party, but he's a little bit upset because she's distracted. But the reason why I asked you for predictions is because one of my friends was saying she thinks Dro might pop up. Because she's like, why would they have him call last episode if he's not showing up sometime in the season? And this would be the perfect place because they're all cool with Tiffany.
And you know what? If they did do that, that's very relatable because I feel like whenever you have a new man or things are going great, these exes, they be finding a way to pop back up. It's a, what you doing? Or like you'll randomly see
Yeah.
them. So I feel like that could be the move. I mean, not that I want her to be with him, but I'd be curious to hear how him and his wife and baby are doing.
Yeah, and he probably reached out because of his like her mom and her illness.
Mhm.
I'm sure he'll talk to her, but it was just interesting because of the way he acted the last time they did see each other. When he was just like, "Well, I thought we weren't cool no more." Okay, yeah, So,
Mhm.
but anyway, 2 more episodes left.
I know it's
Yeah,
almost to an end.
exactly. But all right, thank you guys for hanging with us while we did the live. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and let us know what your predictions are for next week's episode in the comments. Until next week, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.